All right, thanks, guys. The Celtics take on the Hornets. That's going to be a 6 o'clock Eastern tip-off in the Queen City. Boston opened the betting as the 3.5-point favorite, total at 221. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing movement downward on the spread and upward on the total. -3, 222. So once again, Boston opened 3.5 down to -3. Total open 221 up to 222. 69% of the consensus is leaning toward Boston, 57% shaded toward the over. Right now, Charlotte's +130 on the money line. Now for Boston, a bunch of guys on the injury report. Horford's out, Baines is out, and Hayward is doubtful. Meanwhile, for Charlotte, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is out, and Cody Zeller is out as well. Now, Boston's 2-1 against the number, taking on Charlotte this year. They also are second in defending the three ball. Boston ranks 7th in points allowed at just 107 a game. They are 4-1 against the number in their last 5, taking on Charlotte if you're into historical trends. Now, the Hornets are just 2-7 against the number in their last 9. They're just 1-7 ATS in their last 8 at home. They've also failed to cover in 9 out of their last 10, taking on Boston once again if you're into historical trends. Now, total-wise, Charlotte is 3-0 to the over, taking on Boston. Give me the Celtics -3 and the over 222 in that matchup there. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to quickly welcome you to the show, and I hope you're having a great weekend. It is Saturday. Thank God the weekend is here. Like I said earlier this week, work really sucks. Work is terrible. I hate work. But anyway, this is where I have so much fun. That's why I love doing this so much and reaching out to you. So anyway, before we go ahead and move on, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We do picks on that site, plenty of free content, plenty of tiers and packages and memberships you can sign up for. It's a lot of fun. Check me out, patreon.com/BrockPage. Link is in the description section below. Let's go ahead and get back into some more lines of personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Heat Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Washington. The Wizards open 1.5, total 221 and a hook. And since those markets open this one up, we're seeing a slight fade of Washington when it comes to the spread. We're also seeing movement downward on the total as well. -1, 220 and a half. So once again, the Wizards open 1.5 down to -1. Total open 221 and a hook down to 220 and a half. 55% of the consensus is leaning toward Miami. 61% is shaded toward the over. Right now, the Heat +103 on the money line. Now, Justice Winslow and Rodney McGruder are both questionable for Miami. Meanwhile, on the Wizards side, Trevor Ariza is doubtful with that groin. Popped a testicle or something like that. But anyway, Washington is 7-3 against the spread in their last 10. They've also successfully covered the number in 6 out of their last 8 at home. Now, Washington is 6th in home scoring and 4th in home field goal percentage. Now, Miami on the other side, they are 26th in points scored. They're also dead last from the stripe. When it comes to the total, Washington is 15-7 to the over in their last 22. 5-0 to the over in their last 5, taking on Miami, dating back to last season. Give me Washington -1 and the over 220 and a half in that matchup there. Next game, Sixers, Hawks, 7:30 Atlanta. Philly open 8.5, total 235 and a hook. We're seeing a slight fade of Philadelphia and movement upward on the total. Philly's now -8, total up to 236 and a half. So once again, the Sixers open 8.5 down to -8, total open 235 and a half up to 236 and a hook. 64% are leaning Philly, 51% shaded toward the under. Right now, Atlanta's +285 on the money line. Now, Philly's failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8. They're also just 2-7 straight up in their last 9 in Atlanta. Philly ranks 23rd in road three-point shooting. They're also 19th in road scoring. Meanwhile, the Hawks on the other side are 7-3 against the number in their last 10. They've also successfully covered the number in 4 out of their last 5 on their home court. Now, when it comes to scoring, Atlanta's 2-1 to the under in their last 3. Philly 6-4 to the under in their last 10. Give me the Hawks +8, getting the job done at home. And the under 236 and a half in that matchup there. Next game, Timberwolves, Grizzlies. That is going to be an 8 o'clock tip-off in Memphis. The T-Wolves opened as the 2.5-point favorite, total at 214. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing a fade of Minnesota when it comes to the spread. We're also seeing movement upward on the total as well. -1, 216.5. So once again, Minnesota open 2.5 down to -1. Total open 214 up to 216 and a hook. 51% are leaning Minnesota, 52% shaded toward the under. Right now, Memphis is +101 on the money line. Taj Gibson is questionable for Minnesota. Meanwhile, Noah and Conley are questionable for Memphis. But when it comes to the Grizzlies, they are still 7-2 against the spread in their last 9. Memphis ranks second in points allowed and third in home defensive field goal percentage. We're looking at 43% in that category there. Now, Minnesota ranks 27th in road points allowed. We're looking at 117 points per game in that category there. They also rank 25th in defensive field goal percentage at 48%. Now, total-wise, Minnesota 67% to the over at the total. Memphis 6-1 to the over in their last 7. Give me Memphis +1 in the over 216.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Jazz, Bulls. 8 o'clock tip-off in Chicago. The Jazz open -8, total 215. Seeing a lot of movement in this one. 2.5-point move toward Utah when it comes to the spread. 1.5-point move upward on the total. We're looking at -10.5 and 216 and a hook. So once again, Utah opened 8, up to -10.5. Total open 215, up to 216 and a hook. 64% are leaning Utah, 58% shaded toward the over. Right now, Chicago's +465 on the money line. Porter's doubtful, Levine's questionable, and Dunn is questionable for Chicago. The Bulls are also, 21 and 52 straight up overall. They rank second to last in home scoring and 27th in home offensive rebounding. Now, Utah on the other side, they're 5-1 straight up in their last 6. 5-1 against the number in that same category. They're also 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 on the road. Now, when it comes to the total, Utah is 2-0 to the over in their last couple of games. Chicago 5-1 to the over in their last 6. I'm going to purchase the 0.5 point, slide it down, and take Utah -10 in the over 216.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Mavericks, Warriors, 8:30 tip-off in Golden State. The Warriors opened as the 15.5-point favorite, total at 225.5. We're seeing a lot of movement on this one. We saw a 2-point move on the spread and a 5.5-point move on the total. Both downward. Golden State -13.5, total 220. So once again, the Warriors open 15.5 down to -13.5. Total open 225 and a hook down to 220 even. 58% of the consensus is leaning toward Golden State. 61% shaded toward the over. Right now, Dallas is +900 on the money line. Now, Livingston, Bogut, and Curry are all out for tonight's action for the Warriors. They've also covered just 6 out of their last 18 games. Meanwhile, Dallas is 4-1 against the spread in their last 5, taking on Golden State if you're into historical trends. They're also 27-19 against the spread when catching the points this year. Now, total-wise, Dallas is 3-0 to the over, taking on Golden State this season. Give me Dallas +14 after buying the 0.5 point in the over 220 in that matchup there. Next game, Suns, Kings, 10 o'clock tip-off. Actually, let's skip that real quick. I'll try to remember to go back to that, but I'm going to take a look at this game here. Detroit, Portland, 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Rip City. The Blazers open 4.5, total open 216.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing movement upward on the spread, but downward on the total. Now, that spread moved up to -5, but the total moved down to 215. So once again, the Blazers open 4.5 up to -5. Total open 216.5 down to 215 even. 62% are leaning Portland, 73% shaded toward the over. Right now, Detroit is +175 on the money line. Now, C.J. McCollum is still out indefinitely for the Trailblazers. Regardless, though, Portland is 10-5 against the number in their last 15. They're also 9-4 ATS in their last 13 at home. They're taking on a Detroit team who ranks second to last in offensive field goal percentage. They're shooting just 44% in that category there. They also rank 26th in road scoring, and they've covered just 11 out of 26 games as the official road underdog. Now, total-wise, Detroit is 63% to the over at the total. Portland 71% to the over in that same category. Give me the Blazers -5 and the over 215 in that matchup there. All right, next and final game, it is going to be Phoenix, Sacramento, 10 o'clock tip-off in Sacramento. The Kings open minus 9.5. Total open 230. We're seeing movement upward on both the spread and the total in that matchup there. Sacramento's now minus 10. Total moved up to 230.5. So once again, Sacramento open 9.5 up to minus 10. Total open 230 up to 230 and a hook. 63% are leaning Sacramento, 52% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Suns are plus 440 on the money line. But for the Suns, we have Tyler Johnson and Josh Jackson, both questionable for tonight's action. Give me Sacramento minus 10 in the over 230.5 in that matchup there. All right, let's go ahead and slide into some NHL action. We do have a couple games